Hey, soldiers, ask yourself, what would you do? How would you handle it if your energy prices spiked by 50%? That's a possibility. Look at your last gas and electric bill and then add 50% to that and try to fathom how that would affect your life. This may occur. We've got a triple threat occurring right now in the energies markets that are going to affect the United States directly. We always are talking about the fact that the United States is going to see an affordability problem, not an availability problem. But at some point, the lack of affordability, because energy is so expensive, gets to a point where it's basically not available. A Ferrari is not available to me because I cannot afford it. I am priced out of the Ferrari market. This might have a similar occurrence. It might be a similar occurrence in the energy markets this winter with a lot of Americans. Let's get started with the number one thing that is going on today in the energy markets. The United States actually is out there saying that Saudi Arabia might be invaded by Iran in the next 48 hours. And by the time you're watching this, it'll be the next 24 hours. Now, of course, Iran is saying, nope, we have no intentions of doing that. We are not going to invade Saudi Arabia in the next 48 hours. That is fake news. And then they'll do it in the next 72 hours. Following Tuesday's Wall Street Journal report revealing that Saudi Arabia and its ally, the United States, are on a high alert over a potential impending attack from Iran. The Pentagon has narrowed its assessment, saying there's a credible threat of an attack, quote, soon or within 48 hours. Okay, so the United States is going on record. Now, oil, fuel, something you cannot store in your basement. Okay, at least you shouldn't do that. It's not safe at all. So we're going to be exposed to these prices. The other thing about it is because of the nature of the commodity and the fact that you can't really store it long term, not just from the standpoint of safety, but most places that use it are not set up to safely store it long term. So, for example, the truck that brings fuel to your gas station, that truck is powered by diesel fuel. And you know what's going on in the diesel fuel industry, right? We'll get into that in a minute. Oil prices spiked more than $2 today. It's the 2nd of November on this news, on this intelligence that this could happen, which the Pentagon reportedly received from the Saudis, hammering tech stocks further. A subsequent and quite expected denial from Iran came later. They're dismissing the report, of course. Of course they would. The Biden administration reaffirmed that it will not hesitate to respond. I want you to think about all of the conflicts that we've gotten involved in the last 2 years alone. Remember that 4-year period where it was funny because 2016 through 2020, the media was out there crowing about how Donald Trump was going to start a nuclear war. Remember that? And it turned out we didn't have any new conflicts during that time. It was just amazing. Now, we are pretty much at war against Russia. We are, sending dignitaries to Taiwan, antagonizing China. We're getting involved here with Iran. We're doing all kinds of things here. We've actually got boots on the ground in Ukraine. Now, they're saying that these service members in Ukraine, U.S. service members, that's right, they're saying that they are there because what they're doing is they're taking an inventory of the weapons that we're sending them and making sure those weapons do not get into the wrong hands, like smugglers and, black marketeers and things like that. And I suppose that's a worthy idea, but I want to introduce you to a term called mission creep. That happened in Vietnam. We went from advisors, we're just advising these guys on how to prosecute this conflict, to, all-out war where many Americans lost their lives, right? So mission creep, that's the word for today. Going on with this, we're in regular contact with our Saudi partners in terms of what information they may have to provide on that front. That front being, this potential conflict. Let's see. The National Security Council said on Wednesday in a statement, "We will not hesitate to act in the defense of our interests and partners in the region." Pentagon Press Secretary Brigadier General Pat Ryder told the AP in fresh statements, "But what we've said before, and I'll repeat it, is that we will reserve the right to protect and defend ourselves no matter where our forces are serving, whether Iraq or otherwise." Could this be pressure by the United States to kind of convince the Saudis, look, guys, remember, we're out here. We got your back, okay? Remember that time when Iraq invaded you? Invaded, well, not Saudi Arabia, but the UAE. Or did they? Did they invade Saudi Arabia? They did, indeed. I was thinking it was the UAE, but Iraq invaded Saudi Arabia back during the Gulf War, the initial Gulf War. That's what precipitated it. But the United States, hey, we got your back. Remember that time we came to your rescue and allowed all your princes to go and have vacations and disco in Europe while our boys and girls came over and defended your country? Hey, we might have to do that again, guys. You should play ball with us, on these oil prices. Could that be it? I don't know, but it is definitely not beyond the realm of possibility. Now, what might be leading to this? Iran has allegedly attacked northern Iraq with dozens of ballistic missiles and armed drones in recent weeks, one of which was shot down by a U.S. warplane as it headed toward the city of Erbil, where American troops are based. Tehran has publicly blamed Iranian Kurdish separatist groups based there for fomenting the unrest. I just think that when you have a leader, so-called, like Joe Biden, okay, notice that there's a lot of belligerence amongst American adversaries or adversaries of America. There's a lot of belligerence out there right now. And I think that's because they recognize that Joe Biden is a very weak leader. He does not have all of his mental faculties, which is a shame. And it's just his family is just incredible to let this man be on the world stage in this condition. But it is what it is. So we got 2 years to ride this out, guys. But there's a lot of belligerence in the world that is affecting our money because oil prices spiked $2 on the rumor. If it happens, then what will they go up to? All right. Also on the energy front, of course, we got these high diesel prices because of a diesel shortage. And it's affecting everything from, again, the price of gasoline. That truck that shows up at your station is diesel powered. Everything that appears in Walmart or Amazon or Target or the grocery store gets there by way of a diesel truck. So the transportation industry is shouldering the burden of sky-high diesel prices as suppliers blame supply chain shortages and red tape for impacting prices at the pump. But President Biden has painted oil companies as the scapegoat for high prices, accusing them of hiking prices to enhance their profit margins, while critics have shot back, accusing the administration of hampering American energy production. Biden's out to lunch, okay? The oil companies in America do not set the oil price. They just react to it. OPEC is the main driver of oil prices throughout the globe. And I always want to say Joe Biden knows this, but at this point, I'm not sure what Joe Biden really knows. The man is struggling. He said he spoke with the creator of insulin that you use for diabetic purposes. That individual, those individuals, there were 2 of them, they passed away before Joe Biden was born. And he continues to reiterate the notion that his son, Bo, passed away in Iraq. And that's not true. Unfortunately, his son died of cancer in Maryland, in a hospital in Maryland. So this is the leader of the free world, okay? George H.W. Bush once came out and said, "I don't like broccoli." And the broccoli market tanked because the president of the United States, love him or hate him, in the future, love her or hate her, their words carry weight. George Bush, the senior, had to come out and he had to say, hey, you know what? Broccoli ain't so bad. You know, my mama used to make broccoli back when I was coming up. And I sure have fond memories around broccoli. He had to basically come out and do something like that in order to quell the furor of broccoli. People thought the President of the United States had something against broccoli. And the broccoli farmers were up in arms. So whatever Joe Biden says, whether it be the ramblings of a madman or something that is just based in sheer political ignorance, it affects markets. It affects you and me. The South Carolina Trucking Association CEO, a guy by the name of Rick Todd, joined Fox and Friends to discuss the need to invest in U.S. energy, of course, even as progressives continue to plow forward with the green energy agenda. So a lot of that red tape is tying up diesel, and it is raising your prices. And Christmas is when it's really going to hit, because all that merchandise is coming into the store. You think it's inflated now. Wait until we experience a few more weeks of this diesel shortage and have those prices really go further into the equation. A lot of stuff in the store right now was purchased back when the price was, of course, lower. But as these prices continue to be high, then that new stuff coming into the store is going to be based on these higher prices that you will see and I will see passed on to us. So we've got that. Back to Iran real quick. They seized an oil tanker reportedly carrying smuggled fuel. Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps has seized a foreign oil tanker that has been carrying 11 million liters of fuel in the Persian Gulf. So the nationalities of the vessel and the crew were not announced. So, everybody's trying to position themselves to get a hold of some of this precious energy, okay, right now, where prices are in flux and looks like they're going to go even higher here soon. So we already went through back a few days ago, the fact that the heating oil looks like it's going to be going up even further, just in time for winter, by about 33%. If we get a conflict between Iran and Saudi Arabia, all bets are off. Okay, you got constrained supply thanks to the war in Ukraine. You got the green energy policies, and now a war between two major oil producers, mind you. That's going to be a hell of a trifecta. All right, guys. And look, let me just say this, because I had a conversation with a friend yesterday who was trying to say that the oil price increases have nothing whatsoever to do with the war in Ukraine. I showed the gentleman, a great guy, okay, but we disagree on this point. And I have the data to back my assertion up. The first sanctions that the U.S. placed on Russia related to, the belligerence toward Ukraine occurred on February 22nd. Then, February 24th, Russia moves in full force. As you can see from this chart, that's exactly when oil prices really started to spike. This is not a coincidence, okay? Unless there was something else that took place in the world that had to do with the major oil producer. And yes, it's not like Russia is producing 50% of the world's oil. I understand that. But the amount that they do produce it is enough to kind of place a finger on the scale. They are a member of OPEC Plus also, so that threw into the mix some uncertainty around policy from that group and how it would be approached in terms of global oil production or global oil constraint, right? So yes, we have the war between Russia and Ukraine. We got a possible war coming up between Iran and Saudi Arabia, if this news is to be believed, this intelligence is accurate. And of course, we got the Greta Green policy agenda. Guys, the Fed wants you poor. Watch the video. We go into how the Fed's agenda and mission is diametrically opposed to your mission of building sustainable, long-term, generational wealth. Watch the video, guys, and I will talk to you soon.